Okay, much better.
Hello, welcome to the Karla Dawn Live Show, everyone. I'm here in Savannah, Georgia. It's so beautiful, and we're going to talk about the city, the culture. We're going to talk about the slavery history here, the islands of Savannah, and my guest here, who is a dentist, and he has his own practice. And we're here in Savannah at his practice, dental practice. So, welcome, Dr. J.W. Jamerson.
Thank you, Karla.
Hey,
Pleasure
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Yeah, cool.
And the other thing is that you watch the show.
Yeah.
You watch Karla Dawn Live, huh?
And I don't know how you decided to pick me as a guest. I'll tell you, with all the true celebrities you've had on, I'm just like, oops.
Yeah.
I'll be the little asterisk that also appearing.
I'm very happy that you're on. When you said yes, I was excited, and it's everyone has reached a level of some success. There's some that I like to talk about on my show, and definitely what you've done here had this long time practice in a field that people. It's very important to have dental care.
Absolutely.
So I want to make sure people tune into all that because too many people are afraid of the dentist office.
Oh yeah.
And it takes a very special dentist to get people in there.
True, it does.
I'm sure.
Absolutely it does.
You have to calm them down, relax, and all that. So we'll get into all that later. But you have been in Savannah how long?
Actually, I was born and raised in Savannah.
Born and raised.
Born and raised in Savannah. Went to the public schools here.
Yeah.
I went to Morris Brown for a couple of years. I was a music major up there for a couple of years and decided that, well, maybe I wasn't talented enough in music to actually make a career out of it. So I decided to come back in dentistry. My father had been a dentist before me, and his father as well. So we've been practicing dentistry in Savannah since 1905.
Oh my goodness! See, I didn't realize it went back that far.
Yeah, we were one of the longest practicing dental offices in the country with the same name and the same family. Yep.
That is wonderful. Wow, I love that. And did you know at a young age that you wanted to follow suit, or were you trying to do the opposite?
It seems to be somewhat of a struggle between parents and children.
Yes.
And I was that kind of rambunctious kid, kind of a rebel rouser, just contrary against everything my parents said. If they said go left, I go right. If they say jump, I sit. Those kind of things. So when I got to Atlanta and had the occasion to see some really outstanding, talented musicians. At that time, Morris Brown was one of the top marching bands in the country. And we had guys that went on to be with Brick and what have you, performed at the Atlanta Stadium with Isaac Hayes and did a number of things. Was in the Rose Bowl Parade in Pasadena, California, the Macy's Parade in New York.
That's big stuff. You saw them do some big things.
And so when I got to the Macy's Parade in California and they had buses meet us out on the tarmac, and just zoom us down to where the parade was to begin. And then after that, carted us back to, we spent the night in Atlanta, but we were driven back to the tarmac in JFK in our uniforms, Thanksgiving Day.
Wow.
And we appeared to play Clark College for the Turkey Day game.
Oh, that's big stuff.
And nobody knew that we were coming back because they saw us on TV that morning. So all of a sudden now we're marching into the stadium. And I tell you, that was one of the highlights. And so I said, this is pretty cool. And then the Rose Bowl parade with all those beautiful roses and whatnot.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't do any better than that.
So I said, this is it.
I said, and then I happened to pledge one of the greatest fraternities in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha. And I learned that I could actually kind of distract some of my big brothers by actually working with my hands and making decorative paddles and shields and stuff like this. So I was one of the nerds who would be working on stuff for the big brothers, while my other blind brothers might be doing other deeds that might not be as pleasant. So as I started working with my hands,
very creative.
I realized that I actually like working with my hands, and I always did as a kid. And then the bell hit me, and when I was in Atlanta, it said, "Dummy, you like working with your hands. You've been creative your entire life, and you like people."
And you're thinking about what your dad is doing.
And just because your dad is doing it doesn't mean it's wrong. And doesn't mean it's not a good idea to try to do
how many
something
people
like
feel that way? If their parents are doing it, it's like, that's your thing.
It
must not be good or right.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So at that point in time, I decided to stop fighting the system, to actually come back. And it's interesting. When you really find yourself, wherever you are, other people are more attracted to you. And I was able to come back to Savannah confident of where I was going, knew what direction I was headed in, and I met the love of my life.
Oh, yes, you did. You did. And you're still with her.
Still with her, yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah,
How many years have you been with Sharon?
I don't even count the years
Talking about
anymore.
the beautiful Sharon Jamerson.
My beautiful wife, yeah. We got married in 1978, I believe it was.
See, it's so long after so many years, you're coasting at that point. It's just...
Well, love doesn't have a number.
I love that. That's good.
It doesn't have a number, so we don't have to classify.
People do get caught up in how many,
you know.
Yeah.
I mean, just because we have 6 kids doesn't mean that we don't love each other. You know, we do.
Yeah. Some have one kid and that tears.
Yeah.
One child can just tear a marriage up. So
even just the thought of a child sometimes can ruin a marriage. You know, exactly. Not me. No,
and you had 6 children who I was blessed to have met in the early 90s, like 1990, I think, 89.
Yeah.
So I must say, this is my brother-in-law, my former husband's brother-in-law, and his wife, of course, is my former husband's sister. So we are family. If I hadn't made that clear before, let me get that straight right now.
That's right.
So I got to watch the kids when they were very little,
sure
and some weren't even born yet.
That's right. That's right.
So it's
and
been
likewise,
some years.
we watch your girls grow up and become beautiful.
Isn't it amazing all the years? But so you handled 6 children. I mean, tell me just quickly. Shout out to all of them too, everybody. How was that? It takes a village to raise a child. Absolutely.
My wife is from Savannah. I'm from Savannah. Both of my parents were alive during the time. Okay. Both of her parents and both her grandfather and grandfather.
Right.
So we had 3 generations helping us out. We couldn't have done it alone.
Right. See,
no way in the world we could have done it alone.
Always had someone to watch them.
Always had our back. Somebody to have our back.
Yeah, and you were doing dental practice.
And I was doing dental practice. Yeah.
That's a lot.
When we opened the practice here in this location, we actually lived upstairs. We had an apartment upstairs where we actually lived upstairs. So we could sometimes, when the kids got to be a certain age, we could kind of give them a little more grounds, and we didn't really need to have adult supervision beyond what our oldest daughter provides.
Right. I could see it now working on a patient. I'll be right back.
That's right. That's right.
I'm hearing some noise upstairs.
Don't make me come up there. I will.
No, that's so funny.
Yeah.
So in growing up in Savannah, there's a lot of rich history, and there are a lot of films that are filmed in the city of Savannah. Before Atlanta became so big with production, and it was still about Hollywood, Savannah was on the map. I mean, really big town for a lot of the big movies. Do you know some of them?
Well, I'm not really a movie fan per se, but needless to say, dozens of movies have been filmed here.
At minimum, that's so many, and they still.
And one of the most famous one was where the guy sat on the bench and said, "Life is like a box of chocolates."
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. And I couldn't even tell you the name of the movie, but there's several that live here. Matter of fact, a lot of stars secretly have second homes here or third homes here. Sandra Bullock is one that comes to mind out on Tabby. There are others that live here too, in downtown in the area. You never know who's going to be in Savannah.
Yeah, I see. Do you see them sometimes just out and about?
We do see them sometimes and out and about. I'm trying to think of this young man's name who was here recently. See, I'm not really a movie person, so I don't really tighten up with. My wife is an expert on that, so she handles that department. But Savannah,
that's how you stay married so long. Everybody has their departments.
You know your line. You got to stay in it. Don't cross that line, because if you do, chaos could develop. It really can. But Savannah, because of its allure, it's the last of the original 13 colonies. And it's interesting because Savannah, if you look up the history of Savannah, you'll find out that Savannah was discovered by Europeans in 1733. But like Flip Wilson said, how can Christopher Columbus discover America when Indians are already there?
Yes.
And they weren't even Indians. They weren't. Indigenous people.
That's right.
Who became named, who were named Indians because he thought he was in India. When Oglethorpe landed here in 1733, actually he was able to settle peacefully because of cooperation with an Indian chief, Tamachichi. Tamachichi was a senior member of a division of the Creek Indians called Yamacraw.
Okay.
And there's a Yamacraw village in Savannah now and whatnot. And so he was an elder of the Creek Nation, and he had a product of an Irishman and an Indian, Mary Musgrove, who was able to speak English and the Creek language. So she interpreted, for him, and sort of paved the way for Oglethorpe to come in. And Savannah was laid out on a bluff higher than Charleston. And originally there were no lawyers allowed, no slaves were allowed, no alcohol was allowed, and no Catholics were allowed. So interestingly enough, the story goes like this. Well, some lawyer decided he'd sue Georgia, so they realized they had to have a lawyer to defend themselves, so that didn't last long. The Catholics were kind of banned because they didn't want, Georgia was kind of established as a bluff between the Indians, well, not the Indians, but the Spanish in the South.
Okay.
And South Carolina, so they needed a bluff between them, a barrier between them. So Savannah came about, and they didn't want to trust the Catholics because a lot of them were Spanish, loyal to the Spanish. So they banned Catholics. Well, the ban on slavery didn't last long because as initially slaves were imported from Charleston and South Carolina to come and work in Savannah.
The boats came right here to the water.
Came right across the river in Savannah, but they had to be gone by dark. So they would come in and then
supposedly
going back to South Carolina.
Yeah.
But the wealthy people in Savannah saw that Charleston was rising up with so much more wealth than Savannah was at that time because they were utilizing the free labor of slaves on a full-time basis. So they changed that law soon after Oglethorpe died. As long as Oglethorpe was alive, that law stayed.
So basically they're saying the slaves helped make them rich.
Oh, absolutely.
They did all the work.
One of my favorite guys is W.W. Law. This is a book that one of my friends wrote for him. It's W.W. Law and His People. In this book, Dr. Charles Hoskins will tell you that the slaves were all skilled laborers, that many of the Europeans didn't want to work. I mean, they were affluent, they were wealthy, and why should they work when they can get somebody to do something relatively inexpensive, including taking care of the children, including cooking, cleaning, but also the brick masons. The laborers the skilled laborers, a lot of them were African Americans. So a lot of the homes that you see in Savannah built in the 1700s and 1800s were built by African Americans.
Slaves. At the time,
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of them weren't slaves. There were a larger number of freed people of color in Savannah in the 1860 census than they were in Atlanta.
Really?
Yes. Savannah had more freed people of color, and because of that, you see, Savannah being a seaport, didn't really need slaves to go out on plantations so much so, because the main product that Savannah had was rice and was cotton. Well, it's a seaport town.
Yes.
So the people would come in and purchase the goods that the slaves would bring to the market. But in Savannah, per se, it was a cosmopolitan city.
I like that. Okay.
It has a very, very rich African American history.
So is a lot of land still owned by blacks in Savannah, or did that change as well?
Well, just like everywhere else, the way that they get
gentrification
is taxes. Taxes, okay? And a lot of the property along the coastal sea islands, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, was passed on from generation to generation. But some areas, if one of the descendants wants to sell, then they all have to sell.
Okay.
So if you and I were related, third, fourth cousins or something like that, and our common aunt or uncle somewhere down the line passed it along, and you wanted to sell because you're in California, and I wanted to keep it because I'm in Georgia, we would have to sell it. You would have to sell it.
It's not a majority rule situation.
No. Now, I could buy you out if I had the wherewithal to do that. So a lot of land along the coast, all up and down the South Carolina, Florida, North Carolina coast was lost that way.
Right. So most of the blacks owned all that property.
Well, Hilton Head Island is a classic example of that. I can remember as a kid going over to Hilton Head Island, which is one of the top resorts in the country.
Which is about 45 minutes outside
45 minutes away from Savannah, was practically 90% black until maybe the 1940s and 1950s.
Wow.
Because originally the islands was somewhat of a safe barrier for blacks because blacks had more of a resistance to certain diseases that were common in Africa that whites could not survive on. So whites, without the knowledge of how to combat those diseases, declared, we'll let them have the islands. As a matter of fact, when Sherman marched to Georgia during the Civil War, at the close of the Civil War, he burned everything from Alabama, took railroad tracks and wrapped them around trees so that they couldn't be used again. But when he got to Savannah, he said, I'm going to save Savannah. It's an interesting story behind that.
That is interesting.
Interesting story behind it because
it?
when he got to Savannah, allegedly there may have been some female that might have enticed him to not destroy Savannah. You know, other stories say that he wanted to present Savannah in whole because it was so pristine and pretty to the president as a gift. You know,
I kind of think the lady had something to do with it.
I would kind of be inclined to think that too, but I'm not a historian. But just, you know, hearsay. Hearsay. Those are two of the stories. But it's interesting because when he came to Savannah, he had a problem because as he burned down this wide patch of land, several miles wide from Atlanta all the way to Savannah, slaves who were on those plantations were now freed because the owners were either at war, or if the men were there, they were killed. Sherman didn't have any mercy on anybody.
My goodness.
You know, I don't know that he went out and actively killed the females or the children, but I'm pretty much sure that any males there. So the slaves didn't have anybody to mandate that they stay on the plantations. And now, if you can just imagine Moses parting the water. And seeing all this freedom, the slaves all seeing he's destroying all this land now. I've got nowhere to go. I'm gonna follow him because this is my Moses. So a lot of slaves followed him. So he had a logistic problem. How could he feed 40,000 slaves who were following his massive numbers of troops? So when he got to Savannah, he approached the black clergy and black leaders who were mostly free. Who were mostly freed before the Civil War.
Wow.
Okay, he approached them and said, "What can I do? How can I solve this problem?" And these men told him, "You know, we know how to farm the land. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. Give us 40 acres and a mule and we'll do it ourselves."
That's where that came about.
That is the origin of 40 acres and a mule. Yes, that is the origin right here in Savannah.
Right here in Savannah. That is huge.
Not even a mile from where we are right now.
Really?
He met with the black clergy and the black leadership. I think there may have been maybe about 18 or 20 of them. I'm not sure. I wish Jamal Toure or Johnny Brown was here or Vanette Good was here because they are some of our leading tour people here in Savannah. Savannah has a very, very rich African American history.
Yeah, that's what I remember when I first came.
Richer than Atlanta.
Yeah, very much so.
Boston's kind of close, you know, but Savannah's very, very rich.
If you want to know, you know, that black history, the slave history, and how things came about to what we read about in the books, come to Savannah and learn it. Because there are places here where you can go and learn that, right?
Absolutely.
Underground.
Absolutely. Well, there's the Civil Rights Museum.
Civil Rights.
I was fortunate enough to be chairman of that board for a few years back, and I worked with Mr. Law actively in working with the Beach Institute, which is the art museum, the black art museum here. So we've got the Beach Institute, which is a fine example of black art. They have performing arts there from time to time, as well as a beautiful garden for weddings and receptions. We have the Civil Rights Museum, which is Georgia's official Civil Rights Museum. Did you hear me?
Georgia.
Georgia's official historical Civil Rights Museum.
That is right here in Savannah.
Now, it doesn't have the most money. I mean, the museum in Atlanta has hundreds of millions of dollars more than the museum in Savannah.
Why do you think that is? Why is more money being put into Atlanta versus Savannah?
Well, if you're right next to Coca-Cola, if you're not too far away from some of the other big billionaires in Atlanta,
it's a lot of big corporations,
and you have the support of the mayor and the city council. If you have the support of a large number of philanthropists who are right in Atlanta, it's a lot easier to raise money.
They're helping their own city because their businesses there based in that city.
The Civil Rights Museum here in Savannah is located in what used to be called the Wage Earners Bank building, which was at one time one of the wealthiest black banks in the country. It had assets of over $1 million in 1914.
That's big.
$1 million in 1914, including investors from as far away as New York.
Oh my! Now, was it pretty much blacks?
It was all black.
All black. No one else.
It was all black.
Would they reject anyone that wasn't? Was it specifically?
I don't think that they would reject anybody that came in to deposit money. Okay. I don't think that they would do that.
I wouldn't think so. But
I wouldn't think so. But
it was,
yeah.
But that's a lot. 1914.
1914. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long did that last? You know how long
the bank? I think right around when the stock market crashed in the 30s, the early 30s. I think that's when the bank was designed. It was solid until people decided that they wanted to get their money.
Yeah, when you take the money out, that was.
It had money, but it wasn't insolvent. The bank was doing well, but when other banks started to fall, other white banks started to fall, then people started saying, "Well, I need to get my money out." So that's when
people get scared.
So it's in that building. It was originally built back in 1910 by a black architect, and a lot of black
Wow.
laborers who built it.
This is some great black history,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that we're getting. I mean, back these years that you're reaching back to, just to say that this much was being accomplished by blacks.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
and reaching
Absolutely.
numbers that are, you know, bigger than any other state and over the whole country is really remarkable. I love it.
And you know, interestingly enough, the Wage Earners Bank building was right across the street from a major train depot
Okay.
in Savannah.
Yeah.
And because, I don't know if you knew it, but one of the best jobs in the 40s and 50s was a porter.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
men who
I
worked
used to hear about
on the trains. And these guys went on to become doctors and lawyers and dentists and whatnot.
So they were very young, starting out there.
Because
and that's it.
that was a good job they could have. And they could actually go out and have money. So right across the street from that was the Wage Earners Bank building. And in that bank building you had physicians, CPAs, an insurance
They
company,
go get a job.
dentists, barbers. It was almost like a shopping mall that was built by blacks for blacks.
That's awesome.
And the interesting thing about that building, it still stands today. When it was built, the original people had visions of having a hotel in the middle of it and a sister building exactly the same. I think it's 4 stories, brick tall, brick building on the opposite side of it. So it was going to be a hotel for blacks before 1920.
Oof.
But as the money was withdrawn from the bank, they didn't have the wherewithal to continue that.
Wow. But that vision
was awesome.
that early.
Yeah,
That really. Because, you know, so Savannah really, really paved the way for a lot of blacks to become successful and then branch out through the country. I bet their roots, if they search back, probably lead them to Savannah.
Yeah. Actually, more slaves were brought into Charleston than Savannah.
Okay.
Because Savannah wasn't that, you know, it wasn't a major import. Some were. I'm not denying that.
But
Some
Charleston
were,
was
but
a big-
Charleston and Virginia were pretty much the
So
leading
more
ones.
even there.
But let me tell you another fact about Savannah you might not know. Speaking of what it has done for blacks, Savannah had the first integrated black police force in the state of Georgia. Not Atlanta, but
in
Savannah.
the state of Georgia.
Savannah had that.
Before Atlanta.
Before Atlanta. Savannah was integrated. Its hotels were integrated. As a matter of fact, the Dental Society, the Georgia Dental Society, was the first African American group to integrate a hotel in Savannah, ahead of Atlanta.
Look at that.
1 year before Atlanta was to house in a hotel, Savannah housed one. And the guys in Atlanta, C. Miles Smith was one of the old doctors in Savannah, a very, very strong civil rights man, dentist as well, said that, you sure Savannah can do that? Because a lot of the areas in Atlanta are reintegrating. They had desegregated, you know, but they were resegregating. You know, so we're going to have our families come down. Our wives are going to come down to Savannah. Now, you guys sure y'all got it together?
Right.
Dr. Wilson, my father, Dr. Cooper, Dr. Redden insisted that happen. And along with this man, W.W. Law, was able to secure integration of Savannah ahead of the Civil Rights Act.
That is very big. That is very big. And your father was involved in it.
Well, he was the vice president to Mr. Law for 25 years during those turbulent times. W.W. Law had a strong force of guys working with him.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Strong force of guys.
He was not someone to mess with. He had a vision and a mission.
No. He actually was a mailman in Savannah, who I actually almost can say he had a photographic memory, because he would ask you, "What's your name?" and you tell him, "Well, where's your family from?" And he would run through his mind, and within a matter of a few seconds, he would start telling you about your family.
Oh my gosh,
it's insane.
That's amazing.
I mean, I have enough trouble telling my aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews and first and second and third and fourth, all those cousins, but he could rattle that stuff off. Yeah.
Wow.
As a matter of fact, when he died, his house was full of all kinds of stuff, newspaper piles, magazine piles. You could hardly get in there. Books, photographs, and he has so much stuff that the city had to save that and put it into a special area. Yeah. And now the city archivists are going in and going through that stuff, because
really
he's got a lot of strong. I mean, it's probably $2 or $3 million worth of assets that he had. Conservatively.
I'm sure there's so much that people can learn from that. You know, he seemed like he was a genius, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did a lot of good for a lot of people.
He sure did.
He lived his life well.
He did.
How old was he when he died? You know, about approximately.
I don't think that Mr. Law was past 85.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah, I'm
here
sure
again,
he would have
you know,
kept going in,
yeah,
into his 90s. If
he was a graduate of Savannah State. He was a biology major. He wanted to go into medicine, but there weren't funds available through his family to actually pursue that. So he actually went into the mail carrier business.
Okay.
And he was the leader of the NAACP in Savannah for a number of years. And because he was such a strong leader, the city powers tried to do everything they could to thwart him. And one day, they caught him urinating in an alley because blacks couldn't go to white bathrooms at that time. He was a postman, so he got fired from his post office job.
Because of that?
Listen to me. Because of that. Yes, because of that. So the wherewithal got in the line and contacted, I believe it was JFK, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that, but one of the presidents got involved and said, hire him back.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
a bunch of BS.
Did people rally around
Oh
that?
yeah,
That the word became very big, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Because like I said, Mr. Law was well loved. I mean, he touched everybody. You couldn't. I mean, he would read 3 newspapers every day. New York Times was one. A London paper was another. The Atlanta Constitution.
Right.
And sometimes the Savannah Morning News.
Yeah.
But he would always read those, so his view was much broader than the average person was.
I mean,
that. He was a classical musical lover. He loved all the classics. He could tell you about any classical music composition you want to know.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's some interesting history. I love that, and the impact it had, and that you grew up around all of this, and as a young boy, learning and hearing these stories and watching your father fight for rights and be around so many powerful men in
I was
the
so bored. All that just bored me to no end.
So they probably come to the house.
He drug me along, and we were up there at meetings, and I couldn't understand what was going on. I just wanted to go out and play, and here I am listening to these guys.
But he wanted you there. He wanted to.
But I learned to identify giants, and those guys were giants. Gene Gadsden here in Savannah became a judge. Giant man. Robbie Robinson was a lawyer here who was killed with a pipe bomb. The gentleman out of Atlanta killed somebody else, another judge somewhere else. Racially motivated thing. Earl Shinholster, who was also a president. He was head of the NAACP for a while, and in line to become president there. Just so many. Ralph Mark Gilbert.
Okay.
Now that's the man.
Really? Now,
the Civil Rights Museum is named after Ralph Mark
after
Gilbert.
Him.
Ralph Mark Gilbert. He was a minister of the First African Baptist Church, First AB, and he was very dramatic.
Yeah.
He walked around the city in tails.
That was his just walk around outfit. No,
he was just cool
no
that
function,
way.
just kind of.
He was just cool that way.
Okay.
But he had a lot of drama. He spent some time at Michigan in the drama department there. I believe he graduated from Howard University, and he was ordained as a minister. His father was a minister, but he came to Savannah to present a play. The name of the play is escaping me right now, but it was an Easter-based play, and I'm sorry I can't remember that.
So that's what
right
brought
now.
him to the city.
That's what brought him to Savannah, and while he was here, they asked him to give a sermon at the First African Baptist Church, who didn't have a preacher at the time. I wish I could remember the name of those plays. Now my Savannah folk are going to kill me because I can't call that up. I apologize, guys. My bad. I hope that Johnny Brown could have been here today, or either Jamal or Manette, but I couldn't get in touch with them in time. Maybe next time we'll do that, because they can give you all the details and everything. But needless to say, Ralph Mark Gilbert came to Savannah because of this play that he presented. It filled the Savannah auditorium for weeks on end. It was an Easter-related play.
Okay.
Of course, he played the role of Jesus.
Hey.
Naturally, I don't know how Jesus wore a tux, but I guess he changed on that occasion, But he was very sharp, and he taught Mr. Law everything he knew.
Oh.
And Mr. Law at the time, under Gilbert, was one of the youngest board members of the national branch of the NAACP.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the youngest ones. He was in his 20s,
20s
probably,
maybe.
Probably soon after he graduated from Savannah State. Yeah.
Very nice.
But back to Ralph Mark Gilbert. He was the one who taught Savannahans how to rally and build their vote up, their voting block. So back in the late 40s, he got enough black voters to elect John Kennedy as mayor of Savannah. Not JFK, but John Kennedy as mayor of Savannah. And he told Mayor Kennedy, we need a black police force.
Ah.
So Savannah got a black police
Look
force.
at that.
Because of Ralph Mark Gilbert.
Because he said, you speak it, and you know, to make it happen, you
he
have
had
to
the
put it out there.
He had. Now remember, this man sold the Civic Center out, which is 3,000 or 4,000 people at that time, for these various plays for a few weeks on end. Every year he would do this.
He had a following.
So not only did he have a following, but he also had a financial base. He created such a base that allowed him to retire all the debt for the First African Baptist Church.
Oh, that's big.
Now this church was built. This church was built by slaves. It was part of the Underground Railroad. In this church today, you will see bleachers that have slave carvings on the side from the African tribes. Down in the basement, you'll see the remnants of the Underground Railroad, because there were spots below that have sort of a diamond shape with air vents. You wouldn't know what that was, but that was allowed air to circulate so the slaves could breathe while people were looking for any runaway slaves. You might have any. We don't have any. We got to go. They were right below.
Oh, wow. And it's still like that today.
It's still right.
So is this part of a tour? Because I know there are a lot of places people can come and tour in Savannah and see buildings like this.
Let me recommend 3 things, 3 tours to anybody who wants to know anything about Savannah, because this is important. Our African American history is so rich that you need to get it from somebody who's been there and lived it.
That's right.
Not somebody who's getting a decal and putting
that's
on
just trying to make a little money and
making a little money. Johnny Brown is one. Johnie.
And they can Google. He
Johnny
has a tour
Brown.
that he has out there.
You can Google him. Jamal Touré. Dry clean tours.
No, explain that for me.
I'm not quite sure how the dry clean comes about, but let me tell you the uniqueness of each one. And then the other is Vonette Good. Vonette Good Walker, I think is her name.
Okay.
Goode.
Okay, so these are 3 that if you ever want to come to Savannah, which we highly recommend, as you can hear, and learn about this rich history and see it for yourself, I would say Google any of these 3 or all, and when you come, have them to give you a personal tour where you'll know when you leave, you'll be touched.
You got the real deal.
Yeah.
Now I know Johnny was trained by Mr. Law. I've taken this tour several times. Jamal will give you the wide view from Charleston, South Carolina, all the way up to North Carolina, the area called the Gullah Geechee area. These are the original Africans who came over, who lived on these islands that were basically wiped out and taken over by others.
Wow.
By others. So Johnny will give you a good tour of Savannah. Very, very good. If you want to get out into the wider area, Jamal can do either one of the 2. And Jamal can also take you into the Gullah Geechee village. There's a Gullah Geechee village about an hour away from Savannah. He can take you there, where they still have something called the Macintosh Stompers, where these people have a celebratory dance that they actually do. They're still doing it. They're still doing it, passed on from generation to generation.
So you really feel that you've been taken back to that time.
In South Carolina, there's a village over there that Jamal can also take you to. Now, Vonette Good Walker has a walking tour of Savannah. Matter of fact, I saw her in Atlanta last week at the market. I was in the market and saw her right in front of me and said, "Oh, okay." She dressed just like Vonette does, you know, and sure enough, it was her. Yeah. So she has She has an excellent walking tour that she can take you downtown Savannah, where you can walk from one side to the next.
Fantastic. Now, those are you've given great insight that most people wouldn't know about the city, and you know, you come in and you ask the tourism office and you look up and Google. This is something that they wouldn't normally find, so that's been hopefully very helpful to people that want to come. And then while you're here, you can hop over to Hilton Head and check that out. It's not far. A lot of good restaurants, a lot of great restaurants in Savannah, right?
I'm going to tell you 2 other things first. If you really want to know about the black history in Savannah, there are a few excellent black writers from Savannah. Dr. Charles Hoskins is one. Dr. Charles Elmore is another. And there are a few others out there, but if you start with those 2, you can Google them, and you can find the details going back to the earliest days of them. These are 2 excellent scholars who have been around Savannah for the past 30 or 40 years, and they've been doing a lot of research on Savannah. So I yield to their knowledge. Their knowledge is way beyond the little bit I know.
Wow. We're getting a time check over there for me. How's our time? Yeah, I just want to check, make sure, because we can go on. This is some great information. It's hard to stop when you hear about all this history. So a lot of restaurants people go to. What about like amusement type things? What are some of the fun? Or boat rides? I know they're even dinner tours. I think things like that.
I always like to let people know about the Black experience in Savannah.
Okay, why not?
Okay, because we've got a restaurant now that's rated one of the top restaurants in the country. It's called The Gray. Mm-hmm. And The Gray is a restaurant that's in the old Greyhound bus station. Mm-hmm. It's been converted to a restaurant, The Gray, Gray. We have an excellent jazz club down on Broughton Street.
Okay, I may have to do that. Jazz, good food, and Savannah in one. I think I have to do that.
They have it's called Good Times.
Oh, I like that. I
Good
like
Times.
that.
And they also have an excellent chef there, Chef Joe Randall, who's actually in the African American Museum. A picture of him is in the African American Museum.
Very nice.
Excellent down on Broughton Street.
Okay.
And then if you want some more down home regular cooking, I recommend Sisters of the New South. Mm-hmm. They've got a couple of different places around.
So is soul food like a very well known cuisine here, or what is the popular cuisine of Savannah?
You can go in any area of the Black community, and there's going to be soul food served in every house. Essentially, okay, in every house. Now, if you want to go to a restaurant and you don't know anybody there, then you can go to one of those.
But there are a lot of soul food restaurants in
No, they're not.
They're not.
No, they're not.
I'm seeing that around the country. It's kind of bothering me. I've been telling people. I'll see Mexican, Italian, Vietnamese. I was up in my show last week. A Vietnamese restaurant was in the Avalon community. So I'm just like, where are the soul food? And even the upscale, really nice ones. I don't know what that's about.
Some good shrimp and grits is about 3 blocks down there called the Robies. So there are
around, some. But
there are some. But you see, you don't have the major influx.
Yeah, or the chains.
Well, because everybody cooks that way here, so the locals
aren't going
to necessarily go there unless you're on a lunch break or something like that.
Right.
Yeah. And
that's true too.
And most of the tourists don't know about them.
Right. Yeah. So the tourists definitely want to come. So if you're a tourist and you want to eat the cuisine of Savannah, I mean, you want some seafood.
Yeah.
Right, because they bring the fresh fish in and all that. So that's a big thing.
Oh yeah.
So you get some good seafood here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I said Johnny's tour was Johnny Brown, and then Day Clean Jamal. Move your hands, Sharon. I can't see what you got there. Day Clean Journeys.
Journeys. We're going to get them right.
My wife is over there saying, "Boy, you fool! You messed up again."
Nothing like good help on the side.
There you go. There you go.
That's what keeps it going.
That's right.
No, we want to make sure. Now, I appreciate that because we want to make sure that the audience gets to these tours, because these are 3 probably the best tours you're going to get.
Yeah.
According to our great guest here, Billy. So I love that. No, I mean, I wish I could just stay like for a month probably, but what would you say a good stay that you can see enough is about 4 days, 5 days?
I'd say depending on what you want to focus on. If you want to look at the African American experience, give yourself at least 2 days.
Okay.
If you want the broad experience of old historic Savannah from the antebellum days going forward, give yourself a couple more days.
Okay.
If you want to enjoy that and have some time to just take in some of the culture, give yourself another couple of days.
Yeah,
Savannah,
so much.
The excellent point to start, if you're looking at coming to Savannah, go to Visit Savannah. One word, Visit Savannah.
Okay.
They have an excellent guide for what to see in Savannah. Savannah is a very popular place for weddings.
Yeah, I've been hearing that. It's just gorgeous.
Very popular places for
where would they go? On the islands? Because we haven't gotten into the different islands, but where would they go?
Savannah has 20-some unique squares. And on any given weekend, several of those squares will be dedicated to weddings. Forsyth Park is like our Central Park in New York. Forsyth Park in Savannah is also an excellent point for different weddings, you see.
Okay.
But Visit Savannah will have links to the restaurants, to the hotels.
Okay.
It'll give you the different experiences you want. If you want seafood, if you want Italian, it will give you all of that.
Very
so
nice.
Visit Savannah, one word, will give you all of that.
So between that and the tour guides, I think they're covered.
Yeah.
I really think they're
covered.
covered.
Then we haven't even talked about the islands yet.
I'm ready for the islands because I showed a little on my Instagram as I was coming in. It was just so beautiful with the marsh and all. So tell me, there are many, many islands around Savannah. Tell me how they came about and what's the meaning behind all of them.
Well, the islands are really, really popular for a lot of retirees. People retiring, wanting a slower pace all over the country. Skidaway Island, for an example, is one of the largest resorts that has 6 golf courses.
I didn't know 6 golf courses
6
on
golf
Skidaway
courses
Island.
on the area. It's Skidaway Island Plantation, but you know, it's that area that has 6 golf courses.
That's
very good golf courses.
18
18 holes. Yeah. So it's not many retirement areas in many communities in one area that can give you 6 golf courses.
No, that's why I'm like, that's a big Skidaway. That must be very big. I don't know what the acreage is, but that's got to be a very big
second
space.
to Hilton Head in this area.
And they're housing communities all throughout.
Oh yeah. They're
gated. They're gated. And
it's definitely gated.
It's exclusive.
They're multi-million-dollar homes over there. Mm-hmm. You probably can start at maybe $450,000 up. So however much you want to spend.
Okay.
Some of them have views of the marshes. Some of them have views of different waterways and whatnot. Excellent.
Some of golf courses.
I'm
sure.
A lot of golf courses.
A lot of views of the golf course.
And then another popular place is right across the water in Beaufort, South Carolina, where my cousin actually resided in Sun City.
Sun City.
It's a very popular resort for a lot of seniors to retire. Nobody under 55 can go there. If you couldn't go, Carl. Sorry,
they wouldn't want to sell me a house.
They wouldn't want your money, Carl. Sorry, you know.
Like, thank you, ma'am, but keep going. Get a little older and come in.
Yeah, we can get a little older, but it's a nice resort because at first she was from Detroit.
Yeah.
So why did you want to come to Beaufort, South Carolina, Bluffton, South Carolina, which is like 45 minutes from here? And she's because of the amenities. I mean, they have over 300 different activities for seniors to participate in.
Oh, sounds luxurious.
From baseball to knitting to crochet, you name it. 300 different ones. I couldn't think of 300 things to do in Savannah. For older folk, I couldn't.
It sounds better than one of those assisted living homes where they have all these different activities.
These are active people.
This is someone who wants to.
They've got a biking group in Hilton Head that was just, they're radical. Those guys really put up some serious miles.
So let's just run off some of the islands. So you've got Skidaway Island.
Okay, let's start further south. Tybee is the beaches.
Tybee, that's right. Tybee.
One of the best spots. That's where Sandra Bullock bought a house. Okay. One of the best spots, the Breakfast Club on Tybee. If you love breakfast, it's worth the drive to go out there and get it.
Oh, wow.
Somebody told me that 20 years ago. I thought they were crazy. I said, where's the best breakfast place in Savannah? The Breakfast Club on Tybee. I said, no, I said Savannah. The Breakfast Club on Tybee. I don't want to drive way out there. Yeah. You go. I went.
It was worth the drive.
It was worth the drive.
Oh, my goodness.
It was worth the drive, yeah.
Wow.
So that beach is very popular, too. Then coming in, you got a lot of the smaller islands like Wilmington Island, Whitmarsh Island, Tahiti Island. Then you got Thunderbolt, where Savannah State is. You got the waters along Thunderbolt where they come in with the shrimp boats. You can go out there and get fresh shrimp right off the boat.
Oh, how nice.
You know, yeah.
So when they bring it in, people are there buying the shrimp.
Well, they have certain times where you can go in. You can't just go there. It's not like a grocery store. You know, when the ships come in, you get it.
So the ship will come in, and people literally go up.
Oh yeah, well, you don't go up to the ship. You go up to the place that the ship.
They have a place where they
The
deliver
ship unloads and it comes into.
And they know where it's going, and people are there waiting.
Oh yeah.
Nice, I love that.
Yeah, and then of course in South Carolina you've got a number of islands. You know, that Hilton Head is one of the best.
Yes,
and, sea pans and all that kind of stuff.
I would love to just fresh fish. I love going places where I can have it fresh. Nothing beats that.
Yeah. Now, a good spot on Hilton Head is Ruby Lee's.
Okay.
Ruby, R-U-B, Lee's, L-E-E-S. Another black business.
I love that. Yeah. A lot of black-owned businesses still today.
Yes, it is.
In the city.
Yes,
in a lot of the housing. Yes. What would you say the demographics are, percentage-wise, roughly?
On Hilton Head?
Yeah, in Savannah.
Oh, Savannah is more than 55% black.
Okay.
How much more, I'm not sure, because it varies from year to year.
Right. It sounds like a lot of what Savannah has done over the years to the early 1900s and on, Atlanta's kind of watched and followed, I feel. You know, they kind of say, okay, they're doing, let's do this here. They learn because they see it thriving, and then they just take the idea and run with it.
Well, a lot of things that Savannah has can't be duplicated.
True.
The layout of the squares, just the way that was brilliantly laid out. The only place I think might be better laid out is Washington, D.C.
Oh, wow.
And that's because they have diagonals. And Savannah doesn't have a lot of diagonals, but Savannah basically has east-west running streets, so it's very easy to know.
I love it. There's so much. I don't want to leave anything out. We talked about slavery. We talked about the islands. We talked about the culture, the writers. You gave a lot of historians, all these different people. And then your long family history here. And I didn't even know how far back it went. So that was fun for me. You tell me about this great picture that we have here. This is a great photo. I don't know how well it's coming through for everybody.
That's a picture that one of my patients took. Emerson Montabelli
took that picture.
Yeah, he took that picture over in Africa, and he has this belief that I'm not going to just walk up to you and take your picture.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get to know you first.
Mm.
And when I take your picture, it's going to be at your eye level. It's not going to be looking down on you. Okay. It's going to be lifting you up.
Ooh, I like that.
The brother was sitting here and worked the New York Times crossword puzzle.
I like that.
Yeah, let me tell you. The brother is so heavy that he was sitting here and worked the New York Times crossword puzzle in ink.
He's confident. He knows he's got it. He's got it. Okay. I know we're like talking on and on about the time here. We got a limited amount of time left, but we got to get about this dental practice.
Okay.
We got to talk about that.
Okay.
But thanks for sharing so much rich history.
Sure.
You know, and I know we can tell more stories. There's still so much more. Is there anything that we've left out that you think would be great for the audience to hear about? Or
I'm just kind of getting hungry thinking about this low country ball.
I know. Yeah, I'm real hungry. Talking about the food, I've become very hungry. Fresh fish and the breakfast and all this. You know, I'm going to be here for a couple of days too. I may have to extend it to 3 to cover myself here. Yeah. But you
might want to go tomorrow morning, Beth.
I may have to go out.
Did Sharon tell you about that?
No.
Beth and Tammy. Plan on going out to Tabby to get a sunrise and then go to the Breakfast Club for breakfast.
I think I'm going. I think I'll be there. So if my nieces are watching, I'll be there with you. Don't leave your auntie. So tell me now how we know how you got in the practice. We touched on it a little bit, your father and grandfather. But at the point you decided you wanted to work with your hands, how difficult would you say it was for you did you start working for your dad and then branch out, or did you just go for it and say, I'm going to open my own?
You know, from a very little boy, I've always been confident. We would build our toys, for one. Oh. You know, we would go in the lane and find wood and find nails and construct our own toys.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, that was by choice, or did your father just do it and you...
No, father didn't.
He didn't do it.
He was working somewhere.
So
Mama didn't know what we were doing. But you know, the guys that I was raised up with, we all had to do for ourselves. You know, we didn't have Toys R Us, and we couldn't go to the stores downtown, so we just did for ourselves.
So we'll make our toys.
We would take our Union number 5 and number 10s or whatever they were, and put them on the bottom of a 2x4 and nail up an upright branch on a 2x4 and put a couple of supporters there and a little thing going across, and we have a scootermobile. So we can do that. So I've always worked with my hands. Yeah. Didn't really know that I had any kind of ability to do that. And then when I went to Morris Brown, I discovered that I needed to get an ability real quick. And I did that, and actually was able to make quite a few things. And the next few years I would sell stuff at different conventions and whatnot, and make different long ornamental paddles, Greek paddles for deltas, for omegas. And my father was an omega, my mother was AKA. I did all those kappas.
You designed them and everything?
Yeah, nice. Did them all in our little backyard, you know. So,
so you were selling that, making money.
Yeah, I was having fun. Just you know, I had a little time, and
you enjoyed it.
And enjoyed it. And plus, you know, the Alphas always had cool stuff. You know, when I was at the Alphas at Savannah State, we were actually the national chapter of the year.
Okay.
National chapter of the year.
Don't mess with.
So you know, we were pretty tight. When I was at Morris Brown the year before I came to Savannah State, they were the chapter of the year. So I came into a beautiful situation, learned from those guys, and came back to Savannah and had another beautiful, you know, foundation to build on. So I actually developed this loving to work with my hands things early. Yeah. So when I went into Morris Brown as a musician, realizing I didn't really have the talents necessary that would produce anything, it was just a light went off. So when I went to Howard University, I was kind of already ahead with the didactic, you know, the mechanical skills. So I was able to do all that thing pretty well. And I made it my goal to do more than what I needed to do to graduate. So early on, I developed this attitude that I'm going to learn how to clean teeth better than anybody in my class. Because if I can learn how to clean teeth with that mirror going backwards and stuff like this, which is very difficult to do for the average person. I mean, you take a little mirror and go into a small dark area like the mouth.
I always wonder about that.
And get back there and do a decent job. Yeah. You know, that requires a lot of skill.
It is definitely skill. You have to have good handwork, eye work, coordination.
Hand-eye coordination,
Patience.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that.
Well, you know, that's the fun part. The patience part is the fun part, because I actually learned more about people when I was a bag boy bagging groceries in the Davis supermarket than I did in all of my education.
Wow.
In the 3 colleges that I went to.
So you just watched and paid attention to the behavior of
No, I learned the hard way. I was a bag boy. Okay. So if I'm bagging your groceries, I gotta take good care of you. Yeah. Because you're gonna give me a tip. You're gonna tip at that time. You're gonna tip me anywhere from a quarter to 75 cents and up. Now, if you tip 50 cents or more, I would know you. I would know your name, and when I see your car in the parking lot, I know you're somewhere in. So I'll go tell you, hey, Karla, when you come up front, ask for Billy so I can bag your groceries just right. You learn how to take care of people. If I didn't do a good job, you would give me a dime.
Right.
Or maybe nothing. So it's really important that I take good care of you.
You learned early.
I learned early.
Good customer service.
15 years old, I was bagging groceries. I learned early to take care of people.
I see.
So the dental part was really just like, okay, we're taking care of people who already don't want to be here. I mean, that's a given.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you have a problem, if you're just getting your teeth cleaned, it's a great experience.
Unless they say you have a cavity or
and
something.
Until something else happens.
Unless they find something.
Oh yeah. So taking care of people was just natural for me.
Yeah. Wow.
So when I learned the skills in dentistry to be able to do that, it was a breeze.
It was just a great combination of the two.
And I've been very fortunate to have an excellent staff. Mertha Maddox has been with me over 20 years. Sharon has been with me more years than she would like me to tell you.
I remember when she went to school to work with you.
Yeah. And Amanda, my third daughter, is my assistant.
Fantastic.
Now you talk about somebody who has excellent people skills. Amanda is tops. She has so much more potential than she knows.
Wow. How special.
It is special.
How was it to have your daughter come at us? You have 6 children, and you have one that decided to come and be involved. Was that by choice of her own, or did you kind of swear?
Oh. Remember I said that my father said jump, I sit. Amanda is me reincarnated.
Okay.
I have to realize that every once in a while, slap myself and see what goes around comes around. And here we go.
Yeah.
But Amanda's cool. She's cool. She's patience lover.
Oh,
patience lover.
That's fantastic. So you must have been overjoyed when she said, "Hey, Dad, I think I want to do this."
Yeah. Well, at first we knocked heads for probably the first 3 or 4 years. We bumped heads, but one thing about nepotism, you can't fire your family.
Nope, it's there.
You can't fire your family. So she knows that.
So she hangs in there, and
she knows that, and she lets me know that every day.
You can't get
so
rid
one
of
day
me.
I think I'm gonna quit here and go work for somebody else. So that might be the way to resolve that. I don't know.
No, it's great. So in dental practices, you do find sometimes a family business.
Oh yeah.
And it makes a difference in that customer service.
It does.
And how many years total has it been for you?
I started practicing in 1980.
80.
But I want to let you know the trick. I'm only 22 years old.
That's it. You got it. That's a special trick.
That's a special trick.
A
time walk trick.
Yeah. So, before we go, I promised the audience a few little dental tips that they can do to maybe help them so they don't have that scary experience and reach that. What can they make sure they're doing? Some of it's basic that you hear, but with this history, you got to listen.
The cheapest thing, because people always want to know the cheapest option that works. The cheapest option that works is called toothpaste and toothbrush. Use it often.
Yeah, not just once a day.
Not just once a day. Depending on how many times you eat. If you eat once a day is fine. But if you eat more than once a day, you need to brush your teeth more than once a day.
And if you're having sugar, even more.
Now, the biggest nemesis for me is having patients come in and have a mouthful of cavities and not realize that they actually caused that by what they were eating.
Right.
The number one cause, peppermint.
Like a peppermint, the candy?
Peppermint is the biggest trick in the world. What color is the peppermint plant? Have you ever seen a peppermint plant?
No.
You never seen a peppermint plant grow?
Plant?
Yeah.
Green. It's green.
Green.
Yeah.
What color are peppermints when you buy them?
White. Yeah, that's true.
Where does that come from?
And white and red.
White and red?
Yeah.
And that red dye sometimes causes cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people put that in their mouth, and I can tell you where you put it if you suck on it a long time, because you'll have a round hole on one tooth, and on the adjacent tooth, perhaps nothing. The second thing to avoid is sodas. Not only sweet sodas, but low-calorie sodas,
diet
sodas,
and all diet. Yeah.
Diet sodas are worse than the sugary ones because they have all those other agents that cause. Your body needs balance. When you drink sodas or anything like that, you're going more into an acidic state.
Right.
Which all disease starts with inflammation and acidic state.
Absolutely.
So if you can get away from that acidic state, we had one patient that came in all the time, diligently, religiously, every 6 months, have her teeth cleaned. You got cavities. Oh, we fixed the cavities. Looks great. 6 months later, you got more cavities.
Oh my goodness.
Are you sucking on candy? No. What are you doing? I don't even eat sweets. Do you do it? No, I don't do none of that. What do you do? I got a desk job. I drink a lot of sodas.
Oh,
so drinking sodas, 20 minutes after.
And you're not brushing your teeth. You're not, you know.
Well, she was brushing her teeth.
After she would drink it? At work?
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
But after you eat a meal, or after you drink a soda, for 20 minutes after that fact, the acids are still attacking your teeth. So the first 20 minutes is very important. So if you're at a restaurant and you can't brush, get a little water and swish it around. And if you can't swallow it, I don't know what you want to do with it, but you know, it's in your mouth anyway.
Right,
just
swallow
it. Because you want to kind of neutralize some of those acids that are in your mouth.
Yeah.
Floss, you got to floss. There's a trick in dentistry. You don't have to floss all your teeth. Did you know that?
No.
Only the ones you want to keep.
Okay, well, everybody, I think you better do all of them. I think you got it. That's a cute one. He's got jokes. Yeah.
Let me give one more shout out to.
Okay, yeah, we got to shout him out.
Father Charles Hoskins, Dr. Charles Elmore, Day Clean Journeys, Vonette Good Walker, and Johnny Brown.
Absolutely. Important names here in Savannah. Yeah, well, I think those are great tips. I think, and people, it seems easy, simple, but why don't we do it? And the sugar and with the sodas, I agree. Sodas are bad for your teeth, but they're also just bad for your body. Like you said, that acidic.
They're terrible.
And because of that, I drink alkaline water. I'm not a soda drinker, but I have my own alkaline unit called a Kangen unit.
Nice.
I don't know if you have those here, but they're great, and it helps keep the body neutralized, the pH levels where they need to be. Put our body in the right state so that disease can't.
So
thrive.
that's why you look so good, huh?
Oh, thank you.
That's why you look so good.
All that alkaline water.
Yeah, all that alkaline water and staying away from meats and everything.
Yeah, I eat seafood. I'm pulling now a little bit more away from the shellfish, but I do eat fish, but mostly vegetables.
Awesome.
You know, and I just had to finally let go of the
Plus
animals.
you work out too.
I do work out. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
So you gotta do all these things.
So if you want to look like the queen, you have to act like the queen and do what she does.
Yeah, and who knew? I mean, the teeth are so important though because
yeah.
people die from, you can get infections and different things can happen. And I've got this serious pain here, so I'm gonna have to have brother-in-law help me. But when you feel it though, don't ignore it, right?
Right.
React.
Heart attacks. A lot of the precursor to heart attacks is gum disease, periodontal disease. The infection that causes the inflammation in the gums goes in the arteries.
Wow. Yeah. If you have any pain, or if you're haven't seen a dentist in every 6 months?
Yeah, every 6 months.
Every 6 months you got to go, and
Cheapest
minimum
insurance.
a year. But
cheapest dental insurance is brushing, flossing, and seeing your dentist every 6 months.
That's the best investment you can do. Really,
Absolutely.
I really think so, because you don't want a heart attack from not going to the dentist. That doesn't make any sense. So. Great tips. See, you guys are blessed. These consultation fees cost money. You just got a freebie. You just got a freebie from someone who knows so much in this industry. So thank you so much. And I want to also make a note. Are we going to one more comment for dental?
I just had a little bird fly in from the side and said that the mouth is the gateway to the body.
Yes, that's a good statement. I have to put that on the show post. The mouth is the gateway to the body. Take care of it, and come visit Savannah. It's a great, great city. So much history you can see. You've got now new tour guides that could take you through.
Absolutely.
You have a dental office here that we're at. You can come and get yourself taken care of on your vacation. I think that'd be good.
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
to do from an expert in the field with a family business. So I recommend they do that. How can they reach us? Is there a website for the practice, or
no?
So where can we direct people to
we're
go?
On Facebook.
On Facebook. So look on Facebook under
J.W. Jamerson.
Oh, okay. That's right. There we go. So look on Facebook and follow the practice there, and it's worth it. I know people that go cross country to go to their dentist.
Yeah.
That's how important it is.
Oh, absolutely.
I had a boss at Turner Broadcasting that would go back to her hometown of Michigan, and she said she didn't want anybody else messing with her teeth because it was that important. So I feel that everybody should do something like that. And I lost a dear friend recently. A lot of my viewers are friends with him. He was in the industry. He's won an Emmy Award for his work on Entertainment Tonight. Michael Ajakwe recently had a show on BET called Beauty and the Baller. And he had a 3-year battle with cancer and sadly passed a few days ago. So, thoughts and prayers are with him. People have been posting about it. He fought it to the end. He's one of those people, he was like not accepting it until the very end, and did it his way, and was all about, he had so much more to do in the industry. So again, take care of yourself and support those that are in need and that have some medical issues. Just be there to support and show love while they're here and appreciate people while they're here.
Absolutely.
That's why I always say, make someone smile today. You could change the outcome of their whole day with a smile. You can get a good smile from Dr. Jamerson here. That was a great segue, right?
Let me tell you, the smile is the light in the window that lets the heart know the soul is there.
Who knew you were going to get all these great quotes while you were watching the show today? I love it. I love it. Well, be very kind to others and continue to watch Karla Dawn Live every Wednesday at 5:30. Occasionally on location, I have to push it back like I did today because I traveled in from Atlanta, Georgia. And, that good old highway can get you. So we start at 30 minutes and start at 9 on the East Coast. I have some great shows coming up in Michigan. I have another show next week in Atlanta, and then I'll be in Detroit with Martha Reeves as a guest on the 20th of June. So we got a lot more exciting shows coming, and also Beverly Hills View. I've got some wonderful celebrity guests coming up and people in the industry that are very successful. So I hope you've been watching it. You can follow me on KarlaGordyBristol.com, and on my YouTube page, I'm going to be posting a little bit more about Savannah. So tune into that, and on my Instagram page, which is the @KGordyBristol. All right, take care. Thank you so much,
thank you,
Dr.
Karla.
Jamerson, brother-in-law. I love it. You
Yep.
welcome me to your practice here, and everybody, stay well. See you next time.
Thank you.
All right, let's go have some fun.
All right.
Dinner time.